Hi, I'm Rebecca Cohen, founder of the healing system, The Path to Heal. And today I'm going to do a healing session to boost the energy and the productivity and the well-being of people who are feeling a lot of stress and a lot of overwhelm. I'm coming to you from Pennsylvania, where it's kind of raining and snowing outside. So a lot of people have a snow day. So this is a good time to watch a healing video. And I'm going to enjoy doing this one. So the Path to Heal is a healing system that I've been developing over the last 10 years, and it helps us release our struggle by being true and owning all aspects of self. And we do this by decoding problems, discovering why problems are there and why we can't release them. And so I open the session with my tuning forks to help us be walking beings of manifestation. And while we do this, we create a dream. And so everyone watching can create their own dream. But the dream that I'm going to create for the group is that life is easy and enjoyable and happy and simple. And that problems don't feel like problems. They're like mini challenges. And if I relax and breathe into the problem, then I become aware of the multiple solutions that exist as I am relaxing rather than struggling through this. And it's something that I practice every day. I'm not always there, but when I do get myself into a state of relaxing into a problem rather than fighting the problem goes away much faster. So this session on stress and overwhelm is going to help us do just that. So everybody take a deep breath. And I'm using this path, and I'm going to be muscle testing through it to see where we all need a healing boost. And I muscle test. This gives me a yes. This gives me a no. So I just ask yes, no questions. I can also just lift my finger. So sometimes you won't see me muscle testing. But for the group of people watching this video now and in the future, I'm helping you figure out the best way to help release the heavy feeling that stress and overwhelm create inside of you. So I'm being taken to a section of the Path to Heal called Expect a Miracle. And if we don't expect miracles, it's really hard to receive miracles. But if we expect miracles, then at least it opens the door. So this is going to give us the opportunity to open the door to expect a miracle. And what I do when I do a Path to Heal session, it's really different than any other healing system, is sometimes people call it spiritual Mad Libs. So I have all these different protocols. And these protocols have places that I can fill in the blank based on what the group needs to create the healing. So as I said, I am in the Expect a Miracle protocol, and I'm going to open it up with the concept of imagination. Because our minds heal all, we can release all stress, sending light to every obstacle as pain releases and pleasure takes its place. So what we're doing today is sending light to our obstacles. So for everybody listening to the call, I'm going to fill in my first sentence. And it's going to take me 1 second to get the words right. Okay, so we align all layers of our existence to our desire to manifest stress-free lives by aligning our vibration with, and have to pick a card from one of my Path to Heal decks to see what we're going to align our vibration with. And what we're aligning our vibration with is, my journey is peace. I am at peace because I know that my only choice is to follow my path with the sure knowledge that my path is good and true and will at least eventually be cherished by all. So we all can experience our truths within and what our path is. And if we fight it because maybe we'll get criticized or maybe it's too risky, our lives will actually be a lot more stressful than if we take the chance to follow our path. And eventually, because our hearts are all aligned, so what's in my heart about my path is actually aligned to what's in your hearts about your path, that when we follow our path, it will eventually be cherished by all, because it will make us peaceful and it will allow us to use our gifts and to receive in return, and then everybody will have the courage to do the same, and they all fit together beautifully and synchronistically. So this next energetic healing that I do with my crystals all has a meaning, and this next meaning is merge all time into one, cuts through layers for deep and instantaneous healing. So the instantaneous healing that we're doing right now is to help us cut through those layers that make it very hard for us to see what our paths are, and just jump in and help us take those brave chances to be ourselves. And so to do this, to take that leap, to take that jump, we have to replace fear with trust. And so we are going to be replacing fear with trust by piercing the veil of time. I have to let my dog out of the room. Bye, Archie. Of course, he's standing in the doorway now, not knowing whether to come or go, which is very much like him. So we're going to pierce the veil of time, which is sort of a calling, that it's time. It's time for us to do this and to do it now, to align with who we are and live our truth. And to do that, I'm going to sniff some oregano. And then I'm going to use a crystal. This one is the chalcopyrite. And it's going to help us energetically pierce that veil of time so that we live our truth. And the next thing I'm going to do is opening to the infinite through, and I'm just muscle testing through a list to see what it is that we need to do to open to the infinite so that we can experience these infinite solutions. And again, I'm coming up with the same concept, the expectation of miracles. So this session is to align us to believe that the answers are always out there and they can happen quickly. And the more that we believe that, the more it can actually happen. And I'm energizing that with the concept of wholeness. This symbol helps us recognize that we are complete and therefore can accomplish all things at this moment. So these symbols, these things I'm reading to you, are based on the techniques that I'm doing with my crystals, and it's to help energize things that we're holding on to. But this session has been very clear that it's energizing our expectation of miracles, and that we can heal things at this very moment, and that this moment is now. And the more that we believe that, the more that we can get there. Which doesn't mean to hide all our feelings and to only be positive and to only be happy. I mean, if that's real, that's beautiful. But the more we express what we feel, allow it to release, then our place and our being and our presence is in a better state to accept the miracles and express the miracles as they're coming in, so that we can really jump into a space where we're following our path and our lives are peaceful. And the next technique I'm doing to energize the next concept is the key to mystical manifestation, with the help of this mandala. So it's a very pretty mandala, and you can see them all around me. I unlock the mystical path to manifestation. I open up my DNA and release all dysfunction, and now I simply follow my path to joy. And the next energetic shift I'm making is releasing unhappy illusions. And I'm using my pneumite crystal. I love this because there's all sorts of stars in it. When we release self-judgment, and that's always at the bottom of everything, and everything that holds us back is self-judgment. So when we release self-judgment, the perception of dis-ease transmutes to its purest form, unconditional love. When we completely accept self and others, all pain is gone. So always it comes back to the same thing. But the beauty of this healing system, the path to heal, is it helps us get to the root of why we're being judgmental, why we're afraid to be truly in our power, why we're afraid to really, really embrace all that we are. And when we do, then our path becomes very natural instead of difficult. And this experience of my path opening up to me and becoming very natural instead of difficult is something that I went through, having originally been a banker, which I didn't hate and I did well, getting completely and totally fired out of the industry, at the same time experiencing that I was becoming a healer. And this was a very, I had no idea that that's who I was and that's what I was here to do on this planet. But as I relaxed into it, rather than fighting it, that's when the beautiful miracles in my life started to open up, and I got to completely change careers and, do things that I wanted to do while I was raising my kids, like work from home, and completely be a different, not a different person, but have a completely different life, and one that was much more suited to who I was, even though I didn't know that's who I was, because I had no experience of it before about 15 years ago. Okay, so now I'm seeing where I'm going next in my healing system. And I'm going into my book, Meditate with Your Angels. It's one of my first books that I've put out there on Kindle. So this book on Amazon is really quite reasonably priced right now, just a couple dollars. And it goes along with my Embraced by Your Angels deck, but you don't need the deck to use the book. And I'm going to pick an angel card. And these are mostly biblical angels, and the angel is Sachiel. I am here to remind you that you are fully supported by the universe when you pursue endeavors that fill you with passion. I will help you take the risk to follow your heart. So everything I'm picking today, everything I'm saying is going on the same thing. Take the risk to follow your heart. And I started this by saying that this is a session on healing stress and overwhelm. So the less close we are to being fully passionately doing the things we want to do every day, the more stress we have. And the more we're stuck in the supposed to's, the more stress we have. So this session is energizing you to take the risks to follow your heart. And I will post this card after the session, but this card, Angel Sachiel, is an energy that if you do relate, you can relate to this energy to help you take that risk to follow your heart. If not, I'm going to read this this exercise from the angel Sachiel, and it's okay if you don't actually relate to this angel, but the exercise and the meditation will still be helpful with whatever energy that you want to connect to, even if that energy is your higher self. So what I'm getting from Sachiel is, I am here to remind you that you are fully supported by the universe when you pursue endeavors that fill you with passion. I will help you take the risk to follow your heart. I've read that twice. Guess you all needed to hear it. So I am the angel of expansion. I expand your heart and your wealth as you follow your dreams. I will also expand your wisdom so that passion takes you to places beyond imagination. So to work with me, diffuse lemon essential oil and breathe it in for a few minutes. So I'm going to sniff my lemon. And take a time to recognize the people who have joined me. So 3 people have joined me live, and I'm new to doing live. So this is fun, especially when the 3 people that have joined me are people that I've either worked with for a long time or know or am related to. So I appreciate you being here. So to work with me, diffuse lemon essential oil and breathe it in for a few minutes. Then I'm going to ask you to find yourself in a meditative state and share with me what excites you. So in your meditative state, I want you to think about what excites you. Then you will experience your presence growing as your vibration raises higher. So just by focusing on what excites you, your vibration will rise. You will recognize what your limitless pure potential feels like. So go in and focus on what excites you. And as you do that, you will experience your limitless pure potential. And when you experience your limitless pure potential, you will experience that all problems can be solved. And any problem that is overwhelming you right now, I would like you to put that problem, see it as you see it, coming at you. And sometimes I see it as a bowling ball just coming for me. If I allow myself to see that problem and then put that problem in a bubble, or I like to put it in a pink balloon, it's so easy then to pop the balloon. And when I pop the balloon, the problem will get resolved very quickly. If in my mind's eye, I can't pop that balloon, or it's still a bowling ball, then I know that there's more healing that I need to do. It's a problem that I'm holding on to, and that can be healed. So when I see that problem and boom, in my mind's eye, I can make it release right away, then I know that the problem will be solved very quickly. And if I can't, then what I do, because I have created the Path to Heal, is I reach out to one of my students and I say, please give me a Path to Heal session on this problem, because there's something in my mindset that won't allow me to get to the root of the problem. And then I get an individualized session, and that is what helps tremendously. So, I'm going to a dimension of the path that is a little bit difficult to do live like this, because it's a lot of words, and yet I keep getting taken to it. This is my 3rd live, and this is the 2nd time that I've been taken to it in a live. So clearly, this energy is really important, and the dimension is called enlightenment, and this dimension uses Freudian terms like the ego, the id, and the superego. And what happens is that as we're forming when we're young, these 3 parts of ourselves can compete against each other. The id is there it's the youngest piece of our personality to develop, and all it wants is comfort. The ego is there to control us so as not to get punished. And the superego, all it wants is approval. And those three pieces fight against each other. So what I am going to help us discover is how we can settle down these three pieces so that we actually become, I'm looking for a crystal, so that we can actually get our good work done and get through our overwhelm. And I'm starting by sniffing some spikenard, which is a very strong oil. And then it's going to take me a second to fill in this sentence. Okay, so in advance, I'm going to promise that I'm going to apologize that this sentence is a mouthful and that I will help you get through. Because I am triggered, and this is all of us, we're triggered by exposure and believe that we can get hurt. So everybody who is overwhelmed out there feels like if there's a piece of self that's exposed, I might get hurt. And because of that, the ego uses exhaustion. It's kind of easier to do nothing and just be exhausted than being out there, to heighten the id, self-absorption, and then we become self-absorbed. So instead of following our path and doing our good work, we end up being self-absorbed instead. And then our super ego uses the denial to deflate the ego. And I think the denial is that we're never actually supposed to do our good work. We deny our gifts, what we were talking about in the beginning. And this is all a cycle, because in the end, what this sentence is telling me is that we are afraid to be out there and doing our good work because we might get exposed for our weaknesses or get criticized. For me, doing these Facebook Lives is a really helpful practice, and not allowing myself to be afraid of sharing this beautiful system that I developed. And even though sometimes complicated and sometimes hard to explain, if you get a one-on-one session, you always get the aha, and that's so satisfying as a practitioner to see the client get their emotional aha. But I'm doing what I'm asking everybody who listens to this at one point or another to do. And the energy that's being pulled out from the session is to help us not be afraid of the criticism that comes from when we are doing our beautiful work. And to do this, I'm doing the technique of I am open. I feel safe opening my whole self to you. It is who I am. And when I am who I am, my life is perfect. So the solution to every problem that we have is to figure out who we are and do our work. And the only reason that we're not always sure is because we can get afraid. So this session is to help us not be afraid. And know that we're embraced and supported by the universe when we aren't afraid. So I'm about to wrap up the session. So there's a question from somebody who is listening, which says, I get it, I just can't figure out how to get past me. Well, that's what we're all trying to figure out. And it's the best question that there is. And we get past ourselves when we release our fear of being criticized for being exactly who we are. There are tools that can help. Diffusing lemon essential oil is one tool that can help us get past that fear of criticism. And sometimes we don't even know we have that fear because maybe we're angry, and anger is which means that we, rather than looking at ourselves, we deflect it outwards. And that's a really safe way that some of us use to not be who we really are and potentially get criticized. The other tool to use to help, especially in this case of Marla, who's asking the questions, the other tool to use to really get in touch with who we are is rose quartz, because rose quartz brings the feeling of self-love, and it helps us release the pain that we have. And we all are like this. We humans seem to be built this way. And I think it's the conflict of those parts of our personality that I was just talking about, the id, the ego, and the superego, because, there's a piece of us that doesn't want to get hurt, and there's a piece of us that just goes for our comfort, and there's a piece of us that's afraid to get punished, and another piece of us that doesn't want disapproval. And all of these are fighting within us all the time. Fight, 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 fight. And so what this session is telling me, that fight leads to complete exhaustion. And so we rise above that fight with self-love and just figuring out who we are. So use the tools, use the lemon, use the rose quartz to rise above that struggle. And go in and connect with the angel Sachiel and do the exercise in this recording that I'm doing. And in the end, this path session and other things that you are doing to increase your self-love will prevail over those fears of being criticized, those fears of not even having all the answers. Even that exercise that Sachiel did during this healing session, helped us do during the healing session, of putting your problems in a bubble and allowing that, doing the meditation of turning the bubble into a pink balloon or whatever works for you. And to heal those is, they're all exercises that can help you get past yourself. And thank you, Marla, for sharing with us your struggles, because it helped me summarize this whole thing. And in the end, where we started, expect a miracle. And when we expect the miracles can occur. And when we stay in states that are too far away from that, then we don't even open it up. So listen to this recording again if it resonated, but you're still stuck. And if you're not stuck, go live your beautiful, enthusiastic, glorious life. And thank you for joining, and thank you for supporting me. And finishing up this live video with your love.